quickly introduce myself. I'm Suzanne and I've been supporting small businesses in Cumbria now for just over 18 years. When we moved here from the Midlands, you can probably tell I'm not a natural northerner, although I wouldn't go home now. We were actually one of the very first social media agencies to open up in this area. So when we realised the potential, we went back to Birmingham, did loads of studying and came home and opened our agency, which we ran for many years until we bought the Best Of franchise, which some of you might know of. And then we closed everything down last year and concentrated on supporting small businesses just on one-to-one basis, providing training and growth and all the help that they need to develop their businesses themselves. So that's just a little bit about me, just so you know, a little bit of background. I've been doing this for a long time, worked with lots of different people, and I'm going to try and cover as much info for you as we can today. Can we have the next slide, please, Lucy? So the aim of today is to make sure that you're using the right platform or choosing one if you don't use them already. Make sure that you've got a really nice, simple... Oh, I lost the slides. Sorry. Thank you. To make sure that we've got a nice, simple content framework, because I know that's something that people struggle with. It's like, what do I post and how have I got time to post and make all of this content that I need? A nice conversion path that will turn posts into customers, because obviously that's why we're here. We don't just do social media for the fun of it. This is about making sure that you generate income and you get new customers, and then a time-saving plan and tools that you can use to make that easier and more beneficial for you. Next slide, please, Lucy. Thank you. So social media strategies, people think it's going to be quite complicated, and actually it doesn't need to be, because your social media strategy is basically a plan with a purpose, and the purpose is the key bit. It's the why, the who, the what, the where, and the how behind what you post. So it's who is it that you're targeting, who's your ideal customer. The first bit, the why, that is the most key bit. It's like, why are you here? Why are you doing this? Because before you do any sort of marketing or any sort of advertising, you should always understand why you're doing it and who you want to attract. It's the what do you post, where do you post it, and then the how behind all of that. So a social media strategy doesn't have to be complex, but you do need a plan, and there has to be a purpose behind it. We do a whole section on just that in itself is just one workshop, market message media. So your market is the people that you are targeting to make sure that you've got your ideal customer nailed, and then your message is obviously what they need to hear, not just what you want to put out, and the media is obviously where you're going to post all this information. And that is not just about socials, but for today we want to just cover the social media element for you so that we can keep it nice and succinct. Can we have the next slide, Lucy, please? So there is a common myth that if people say, oh, well, I'm not getting enough information out there, I'm not getting enough people commenting on my stuff, Facebook aren't picking me up on the algorithms, and people go, oh, just post more, because if you post more, you'll get picked up and you'll get more customers. And actually it doesn't work like that way. So if you could help me by using the chat to tell me a little bit about what you sell and where you do post, I can try and tailor some of this to the platforms that you're using and the things that you sell, and I can gauge who's more retail, who's more hospitality, so that we can kind of get a feel for services, etc. So if you want to use the chat, that would be great. Perfect, thank you. And I can see them popping up as we go. Thank you very much. Okay, good flow. Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Okay, so those are the main platforms that we're going to cover, and there'll be a lot of mention today about Google Business Profiles as well. Not technically social media, but you can use them to post on like your social media platforms. So they are a really key element in the mix. So we will be referencing to that as well. So thank you, everyone. And these will help me when I'm answering your questions as well later on, when we can get back to you next week. Okay, can we have the next slide, Lucy, please? So this is a really simple model that you can start to look at. So it's about visibility, trust, and conversion. We need to be visible so that people can discover us, find us, know who we are. They need to trust us so they can believe that they're in the right place and that they know that you are the right person to deliver the goods, the services that you provide, and the advice that you might be giving them, depending obviously on what you do. And the conversion is once they've seen you and they know that they can trust you, then the conversion is their ideal next steps. Now, if we could wave a magic wand and make all that happen in one post or two posts or three posts, that would be amazing. But unfortunately, we can't. Sometimes we have to build up that visibility to make sure that we are about out and about there and people can find us, and that when they do find us, it's really clear what we do. Then we've got to build up that trust, because no, none of us would just hand over money or trust somebody with writing our wills unless they came recommended or that we knew they were really good at what they did. And the conversion then, that's the bit that takes time. And unfortunately, social media is more of a nice, slow little jog around the park than a big fast marathon. So we need to make sure that we're building up all of those elements. And that's the bit that the customers want to see. But from you as a business, if you break it down into and flip it a little bit, that visibility is about you getting seen. That trust is about people believe in you. So it's get seen, get believe, and then that final bit is get paid, because that's obviously the outcome that you want. So we need to make sure that people can find you, that they know exactly who you are, so that they can access you, trust that you're the right person for them, and then they will start parting with the money. So we have to go through that whole process. So if you could pop in the chat which is the hardest for you, that will help us to tailor different bits, because most people will struggle with the conversion, but some people also struggle with visibility. And it's not always trying to be visible online. Can we just pop to the next slide, please, Lucy? Thank you. Conversions are obviously will be different for everybody. But also a lot of similarities. So if you run a retail business, for example, your conversion could be to get more footfall through the shop, for people to DM you on your socials about your products. It could be website clicks if you've got an online shop or a website that they can look at the products more, and obviously get orders. And then for services, it's going to be things like inquiries, referrals, consult bookings. I use clarity calls a lot, depending on obviously what you do. And then for most businesses, obviously, depending on what you currently do at the moment, it's getting people to sign up for your emails. It's about bringing in repeat customers so that you're keeping them really close, and community growth, which is really important as well, because obviously we need to make sure that we're keeping our customers sticky, and we want to make sure that they are, once they've used us, they keep coming back to us. So that conversions and how we handle those conversions is really key. We can put a post out there and it can get a lot of likes and then not any sales. And very often it can be that they've visited you a few times, but they still really don't know what you want them to do. So those conversions are really important, because we need to make sure that our customers are understanding from our posts what next steps that we want them to take. So we will use things like calls to action or links for them to click. And of course, we're also trying to keep the algorithms happy, so it gets really tricky. So those are the instant and the most simple and common conversions that we would expect you to want at this point. So how do we choose the right platform? Can we just have the next slide, please, Lucy? So everybody thinks we should be everywhere, and we can't be, because if you're like me, you're a small business, you're a sole trader, and you don't have a team behind you to make it all happen, and you have got a magic wand to wave. So we need to make sure that we pick one or two platforms that we do really well. The main platform is your home platform, where you should be building relationships and you post more. So you're selecting a platform that is where your ideal customers are. So it's where, if you're targeting women from sort of, I don't want to be sexist, but if you're targeting women from sort of 30 to 60, you're going to find more of them on Facebook than you are on Instagram, and these are genuine stats, unfortunately. But we have to make sure that we are actually targeting the platforms where our audience is, because otherwise we're just posting and then nobody's going to see it. And then we have a supportive platform where we can repurpose that content and stay visible. So that could be that you use Instagram. Now, a lot of people, unfortunately, will use the Meta Business Suite, which we'll talk about later, and they'll put if they're using Facebook for their main home platform, they'll put a post on there for their home platform, and then they'll automatically link it back to Instagram, or vice versa. They'll set up their Instagram, so their Instagram post goes on their Instagram, and then it automatically posts back through then to their Facebook. But unfortunately, this doesn't really work for them, because if you're an Instagram or a Facebook user, you can pretty much tell that people are doing that, because you wouldn't put all those hashtags on your Facebook post, so you know that's gone from Instagram. And on your Facebook post, you might be putting things like, oh, click the link in the comments or see something below, and then you're forgetting to tailor it. So we have to make sure that we're picking the two platforms that we're happy and like to use, that they're where our customers are, but they're also that we're prepared to tailor that content, because otherwise your strategy goes a little bit wayward, and the only one that you're actually going to benefit from is your home platform and not the other one. So it's really important to make sure that you pick one or two platforms and do them really well and not worry about everything else. I would add in there that always your Google business profile, because your Google business profile, especially if you've got a location-based business, is really important for getting found locally. And then, of course, if you've got professional services or you've got something that is beneficial professional to local professionals, LinkedIn is also really key. So I don't want to exclude them. So can we have the next slide, please, Lucy? Thank you. So your Facebook page and local groups, don't forget them, and including your own groups, is obviously really good for community trust building up. It works well when you show up consistently and you talk to local people. So just the same as you would talk to people in your shop, in your office, in your salon, in your restaurant, those are the conversations that you have, but you're just having them online. The common mistake that people are making, as you can see from the screen, is that they're only posting promotions and there's no conversation. And this is where a lot of the problems are lying in the social media, is because people are just dropping a post in and then running. So we're putting a post in, we're saying this is what we've got today, these appointments have got available, this is what's on sale today, and we're not doing anything else. So it's a little bit like if you went to a networking event and everybody was just that you bumped into is just saying to you, oh, I've got this on sale this week, come and do this. Oh, come and have a chat with me because I could write your will for you, or come and see me and let me sort your finances out. If people were like that at a networking event, you would avoid them. Next time you saw them, you'd be like, oh, I'm not going to talk to them because they just want to sell to me. And we would avoid them like the plague. And it's very much the same as on social media. If you are constantly selling to people and you're not doing all the other stuff that we're going to talk about today, your customers will just disappear. They'll unfollow your page, or they'll just ignore your posts, and you won't get the engagement. So this is one of the problems that we've got, is people are not having conversations online. So we need to make sure that we solve that problem. On Instagram, it's really visual, as you know. It's great for lifestyle and branding, and you show a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And again, it's like making sure that it's clear and the videos are good quality, images are really good, and not just selling. And then obviously LinkedIn is great for B2Bs, consultants, professional services, etc. And it's great because you can really showcase your expertise. And it does say and opinions, but obviously you have to be careful with that. But that's what gets the engagement. But being too formal and being too vague and backing off and not putting enough stuff out there is a really common mistake for that. Local community, if you're serving the local community, Facebook is a really good place for you to promote your businesses, which I'm sure you all know. Can we have the next slide, please, Lucy? It's lovely that so many of you on here, but I feel a bit strange because nobody's talking back to me. So where are your customers? Where are your customers? So what we have to look at is, I don't know, put in the chat. Can I see all of your chat? Oh, there's loads of you. Thank you. Can you see in your, oh, sorry, I'm just scrolling through. I can see them now. Thank you. In the chat, who's done any work on their ideal customers? It's so easy to say, if somebody said, who's your ideal customer? And then somebody says, oh, everybody, because everybody has what I need. So if you sell food, it's kind of like everybody needs food. Yep, they do. Everybody needs clothes, of course we do. But that doesn't mean to say that they are your ideal customer. And identifying your ideal customer is really a really important thing. And we can touch it briefly here, but it is a 90-minute workshop on its own just to do an ideal customer profile properly. Thank you, Richard. You've put local and national, so that's great. You know that you've got a national and a local audience, which is brilliant, but having to make sure that you can actually identify exactly who they are is really key. So we need to know where they are, because we need to be able to sell them and target to them. So we need to know where they are. We need to know what their habits are. We need to know whether they are the sort of people that will buy on impulse, or they have to consider a purchase, in which case sometimes they might need a little bit, not convincing, but we might need to supply a lot more information before people start buying their products. We also need to think about their values, their goals and their struggles, because if their values don't match ours, it can be really difficult if you're especially if you're B2B, to actually work with somebody. I've got ideal customer profiles for most of the clients that I would work with. And I had one customer that matched all of them, ticked every single box as an ideal customer. But when we start working with them, because our values don't match, that can make it really difficult. Okay, dandelion coaching, thank you. Done personas for both individuals and organisations. So that's brilliant. So that gets into a lot of detail. Shelley, mainly women 30 to 60. So that's a great place to start, because you know roughly where they're going to be. But now you need to identify a lot more information about them, because you need to understand why they buy. You need to understand what their pain points are. You need to understand what is going to motivate them to go, oh, that's really nice, I need one of those, or I need help with something, but I'm not sure you're the right person for me. So we need to have a really big, clear picture and an understanding of them, so that we can sell products and services to them. So we bring them closer to us. Okay, thank you guys. The chat's looking good. Can we go to the next slide, Lucy, please? Okay. So we've got the little bit of a dream profile client here. So this is where you could start. So Phil, I know we're going to share the slides next week, I think, aren't we, Lucy? But if anybody wants to take a quick screenshot just of that, you're perfectly welcome to do so. That's fine. So if you were building your own client profile, I mean, you're just going to do a really basic one, we would start with giving them a nickname. And we give them a nickname because it's really, if you feel like you're writing and creating content for a person, then that's great. If you've got a customer that you wish you could clone because they're just perfect, that's a really good place to start as well, because you could give them that name. I've actually got some of my ideal customer profiles that are named after some of my clients. So, but I can't tell you because you might know them. So you give them a name and a nickname, so that you are writing and thinking of a person when you're actually creating your content. You're looking at their age range, you're looking at their life stage and their situation. Obviously, if you've got young children, it can be difficult sometimes to get to places, to do stuff, or sometimes you want access to things when they're at school. If you are working full time, you need to know if understand that, because obviously they've got restrictions, so they can't get to town before your shop shuts at 5 o'clock, for example. So they might only be coming in at weekends, so you might need to do promotions that are just run for weekends. You could have people who are retired, you've got a lot more flexibility and a lot more time. So understanding their life stage and their situation is really helpful for you as to how you put out comments and posts to get them to engage with you, and also to get them to come and visit you and know when they're going to book and when they can't. Understanding their goals and their dreams and their desires is really important, because obviously if somebody has got a dream and a goal that they want to grow their business and they're kind of stuck at a certain level, they need to reach for help. So they could go and talk to Donna, and Donna can help them and point them in the right direction. But we need to know who they are so that we can target them, and Donna will do a lot of work with that, so that she's trying to target the businesses that need the support. We need their challenges and their frustrations, because if we can use our content to actually say, this is what we do, and explain how we help, we're answering their questions because they're not just going to ask us when they land on us. What they wish somebody would help them for. So understanding their pain points is really important. If we can understand what our ideal customers struggle with, then everything we put out can be tailored to supporting that and helping that and giving them a little nudge to say, we're here for you, we can help you. Where they spend their time online, so obviously that's the platforms that we're using now, but also where do they spend their time offline? So if they go to the gym, if they use particular salons, and you've got a really lovely salon owner that might put some of your literature around for when their clients are waiting. So they've got a bit of reading material, where you can put up posters. And we do a lot of stuff that are related to a local charity that does lots of local events. So making sure that we can get into certain shop windows, notice boards, libraries, all of those sort of places so that we can attract those new people. So all of those is part of your strategy. And then what type of content they like to consume. And that's really important, whether we're talking about on or offline, because the online stuff is really key. If you've got somebody who likes to watch a video, that's brilliant. But do they watch the video that's got captions on, or have they got their earbuds in and they're listening? Do they just like to read nice big long form pieces of content because they've got time and they're sitting watching, in their lunch break at work, or they're sitting on a train or the bus while they're traveling? Or just because they just like long form content because they get a lot of information? Or do they need to see it broken up with bullet points? Do they need something that's more concise? Do they just need short, sharp, not a lot of attention span because they're scrolling and we just need to grab their attention? Or do they like visuals? Do they like memes that they can share, things that really stand and jump out of them? So understanding what type of content that your audience consumes is also important. So obviously that's a piece of work that you could do, or if you haven't already, is understanding that who they are, give them a name and build that up. Because once you've done that, it's much easier to start creating content and making your strategy work for yourself. Can we have the next slide, please, Lucy? Thank you. Research in real time is really good. So one of the things that you can do now, obviously not now, when we come off the call, is to have a look at a Facebook group where your ideal client might be in to find out what they're asking about. If it's relevant to what you do, that's really important. So maybe join other groups and have a look to see what they're talking about. If they're saying things like, oh, I'm struggling to find, I want this, but it's out of hours. Does anybody know anybody who does home visits for X, Y, Z? Does anybody know where I can get this, that, or whatever it is they're looking for? Just looking to see what they're looking for, and then looking at them and seeing what language that they use, looking at what hashtags and search terms might be used, looking at Google reviews for your competitors, and then look at what people are praising or complaining about when you look at those reviews. In fact, any of the review platforms, go and have a look and see. Because when you understand and you can see the language that they're using, that language is gold dust. The phrases and the language they use are really important, because when you see those phrases, when you see the comments, when you see the things that they complain about, that is all things that you can address, obviously not directly about somebody else, but you can use all of that language and that type of content in your content so that your ideal customer then goes, oh, they do that. They do that. They've addressed, if you're addressing a problem that they've complained about with somebody else, and you've put a post on talking about how you do something, straight away you've got their attention. So doing some research in real time and having a look and constantly going back every now and again when you've got a chance to look at different groups, read different reviews, research your competitors, see what people are saying, what people are responding to, what people are complaining about. That is gold dust for helping you to create content for your social media strategies. Can we have the next slide, please, Lucy? So we talk about content. There are 3 content buckets that are the main ones that I would work with clients. So we have problem solving, which would be tips and frequently asked questions and addressing the problems that your customer might have. So like having problems finding XYZ. Then we have our proof bucket, which we would be putting in stories, results, testimonials, behind the scenes type stuff, showing that we're delivering stuff, showing that I've got great food, showing that we've got the products. If you make stuff and produce beautiful knitwear or beautiful products or gorgeous paintings or lovely cards or nice packs of hampers and sweets, if you're showing that, you're giving them proof. And then we've got our personality bucket. And this is the one that most people miss, because this is our values, this is our opinions, this is our real life moments, this is me sitting at my desk with a cuppa, this is me out walking the dog. Because it's not just about the problems that we solve and the products and the things that we do, whether it's a product or a service that we deliver. Our personality is really key, because people will buy from people. If you've got a shop, then people will come in because they want your product and your services. That's great. But they will come back because they like you. You won't be the only person that sells that product. But if you're really friendly in the shop and they're really chatty and you get on well with them, when they want something again, it's you they're going to come to. So your personality will shine through when you've got that face-to-face. We need to make sure that it does exactly the same when you're online. So that personality bucket is really key, and one, as I said, that people don't always fill. And the idea is having these 3 buckets in your head is that, I mean, put proper buckets or little notebooks or post-it notes if it works for you, but actually having these for you means that you can constantly be thinking of content that you can put in each one, because the idea is that you would constantly fill things. You could, if you've got if you've done an unboxing video, that's really great, because that's proof and personality. So that kind of ticks both boxes. So you could put that in either, but that's sort of one ready to bank, and you can use it again and repurpose it. So filling those buckets and making sure that you've got posts ready to go, or drafted, or noted down that you're going to do this, or don't forget I need to talk about XYZ. Having these prompts and these buckets that you can fill means that you're not going to be stuck for content. And the content is key for your strategy. Can we have the next slide, Lucy, please? So let's look at some quick examples. So retail examples. The problem bucket could be stuff like information posts about how to choose the right size, how to look after a product, whether it be clothing and you put care instructions in, or it's it could be a carpet, how to spot clean it, style ideas, lots of different things that you could put in there as the problems that people have that they don't know how to do. Yes, they could Google it, of course they can, but you want to be the person that they come to. So, and by showcasing the fact that you are helpful and that you're giving them this information, they're more likely to come and buy from you as well. And obviously that's the conversion bit that we want. Giving them proof, so customer photographs is great. If you've can get your customers to give you some photos of the products they're using, or very often you can get really good user generated content because people will share stuff. I'm terrible for putting pictures up of anybody who follows me is where I eat. I'm terrible for that. So there's always good, if you're looking for somewhere to eat locally, just check out my page, because you'll always see places where I've been eating recently. Reviews, unboxing, as we talked about earlier, bestseller lists, all of those things are really good stuff to put in your proof bucket. And then personalities, why we stock local makers, what is your story? Your story is really important. People love to know the people behind the businesses. They love to know why you do what you do. They love to know the daily struggles that you have, because come on, we all have them. So they like to know if you've had a bad day. We don't always want to share that, but it's about being real, and it's about being you, and it's about being authentic. And you can share about the day in the life of. Sometimes we put, especially if you make stuff, there's some beautiful, beautiful products locally that are handmade and handcrafted. If you've got a product that you've made Some people will look and think it's expensive, as we know, we all get these comments. But if they could see exactly what goes into that whole process of you creating that beautiful product, whatever that product might be, as part of your sort of day in the life of or behind the scenes, to go in your personality book here, people appreciate that then. They can see it's not mass manufactured. They can see how much time and love and care and affection has gone into that. So being able to share all of these things is bringing people closer to you, and it's getting you more visibility. And that more visibility will eventually lead to more conversion. Can we have the next slide, Lucy, please? So service examples could be, you could give them in your problems, it could be 3 signs that you need X, Y, Z. It could be common mistakes that people make. It could be obviously checklists. Everybody loves a checklist. It's always worth putting a checklist in your post and not always relying on people signing up. Although that's really important to grow your newsletter if you do newsletters. If people want to give one by their newsletters, that's great because you get them to sign up. So not everybody wants to sign up to your newsletter straight away. They still want to know that you're not going to bombard them with stuff, and they still want to know that it's worth signing up, because otherwise we get an inbox full of rubbish. So they want to make sure that you are the right person to sign up for. So giving them that quick checklist in your Facebook feed or in your Instagram or on your LinkedIn profile, wherever you post that, that's a really good quick win as well for your customers. Giving them proof. So talking about the numbers, if you've helped somebody grow their businesses, putting client stories out there. The Enterprise in Cumbria team are really good for that. There's lots of ones that are popping up now that I've seen in my feed that show how they've worked, especially I see Donna's more than everybody's because I follow Donna. So if Donna's putting help in a business, I can see that there's pictures of them, and it's like the comments from them about how it's helped them think about their businesses differently, how it's helped them to grow. All of this is proof, and people need to see this. People will see that and reach out to Donna or reach out to any of the team to say, help, this looks great, how do I get involved? But exactly the same on your social media, regardless of what you do, that is what they need to see. They need to see that proof. So client stories are really important, and testimonials. And then obviously, again, personality. Oh, that's got the wrong one on there. But yeah, not the why we stock local mark. I will correct that before it comes out to you. But still, your story, the day in your life, the behind your scenes. Very often I'll put a picture of my dog that'll be lying under my desk. All of those things that people will interact with because they like to see the people behind the business. They like the personalities. They want to engage with you. And if you've got a dog lover who suddenly starts seeing your dog under your desk, they go, oh, that's nice. Let's have a look what else she does. And if you think that doesn't work, trust me, it does. Trust me, it does. We've tried and tested it for over many, many years, and it really does. So yeah, I'll remove that bit. Sorry about that. That'll teach me to copy and paste, won't it, when I'm doing my slides? Right, can we have the next one, please? Okay, so these are some plug and play posts that you could use, and feel free to take a shot if you want to. So if you're struggling with this, try this. You're not selling anything. This is the mistake most people make. We're trying to sell to people all the time, and this is social media. And people use social media because, yes, Howard, I hate pop-ups too. Sorry, it just popped up in my chat. Thank you. I hate that too. We're using social media as businesses because we want to attract more customers, and we want to sell our products and services. Of course we are. Otherwise, why would we be there? Apart from to spy on everybody else. But when our customers are there, they're not intentionally coming onto Facebook to go to look for something. Some will sometimes because they'll ask for a recommendation. But generally, you're bored on a night and you're sitting scrolling and you're chatting with your friends and you're online and you're doing all of that because that's social media. That's what it's about. It's called social media for a reason. We're kind of getting and interrupting that conversations. We're interrupting that leisure time. And if we're just going direct sales, we're being a bit rude. So for me, it's kind of like, how do we infiltrate into those conversations? How do we infiltrate into them watching traitors while they're still scrolling and get a little bit of information out there and make them want to know more about what we do? So these are the kind of prompts that we would use. And you need to work some of these into your strategy, because that makes a massive difference, apart from look what I've got today. So if you're struggling with this, try this. Is a great one, because it's all relevant to what you do. The behind the scenes, the what it takes to, a little bit like I just said before about if you make something, knowing how much time and effort goes into something is massive. And just watching the whole process, even if you never buy from somebody or buy that product from somebody, you have a whole lot of compassion and feeling and respect for the work that they do. So, and that makes you stand out in their minds. So then if somebody else says, oh, I need somebody who can make me, or a seamstress who can change this for me, then straight away you're going, oh, I saw this really great person on Facebook, try them. So it's about sticking in people's minds, even if they're not going to use you straight away. Myth versus truths, these are great ones. Just done some work with a local company. We've put together a whole heap of myths versus truths, because people don't understand, or they don't have the correct perception of what they do. And we've managed to come up with some really funny stuff that we can put out that will conquer that. The most common question that we get, that's a really good one. If somebody is asking you a question, and especially if you've had 2 or 3 people ask you, even if it's like been over the space of 2 or 3 months or even longer, if somebody's asked you a question, you can guarantee somebody else is thinking that somebody else is thinking the same thing. So having something and addressing it is a really good way of being able to put information out there, and somebody going, oh, okay. There's some people feel stupid by asking. So if you just put it out there, if people ask you. Before and after pictures, brilliant. They're great for gardeners and anybody who's decorating, and beauticians. And I love to see the nails, although I never get a chance to get mine done these days. 3 mistakes people make with, because it's really funny, because how many times do you read a post like that and go, oh, yeah, I do that? But it's getting them engaged and thinking about what you do. A customer asked, here's what I recommended. It just shows that you're being helpful and not trying to sell. What I'd do if I was starting again, I could write a book on that one, but that's a really good one, because it makes people go, oh, okay, makes them stop and think. It's perfect if you're like me. I do a lot of business coaching. It's perfect for that one. I might use that one a bit more. That's just a good prompt for me to do. Bestsellers, most booked, most requested this month. People, if stuff sells out regularly, or things come in stock and then they've gone and you can't get them for a while, that's the perfect way of putting that stuff across. What's in stock, what's new, what's coming back. All of these sort of plug and play type posts are really important, and a really important part of your strategy, because it's about phrasing things differently, because we need to make sure that people are understanding exactly what we're doing without them thinking that we're trying to sell to them. So if you could do me a favour and comment in the chat, it would be really helpful. Out of the 3 buckets, your problem solving, your proof, and your personality bucket, which one do you struggle with or avoid? Because it'd be interesting to see how many are very similar. I'm sure most of us are really good with the product bit, but struggle with some of the other ones. Proof and personality. Oh, is it really cringe? Sometimes it might feel cringy to you, but actually your customers will love it and your audience will love it. I got told off once by somebody who'd booked a call with me, and she said, oh, I get fed up with your posts sometimes. I love what you do, but I get fed up with your posts because you've always put pictures of food up. And I do, because I'm a bit of a foodie. And we do like to go out for cake and coffee, and if I can meet a client doing that, that's great. Bonus, win-win. So the one day I met with a really lovely lady in a local cafe, and had the most gorgeous lemon drizzle cake and a cup of tea. And I went, I forgot to take a picture. So I took a photograph of my empty plate and just put a post up that said, for those of you that are sick of seeing my food, it was bloody lovely or delicious, or however I phrased it. And that post got so much interaction, and I got so many messages off that one post. It was brilliant. So sometimes we might think we're being a little bit cringy, or we're not, but actually they love it, and that's where our engagement comes from. And because people are engaging with us, Facebook love the algorithms, so it's definitely a win-win. But yeah, it's the personality element is sharing what you are comfortable with. You don't have to share, this is my entire life. You don't have to put pictures of your kids or your grandkids all over social media to show your personality. You can talk about things. You could just put a picture of a view of your desk. So it's a good job you can't see mine today, because I've got so much paperwork to get through. So much stuff that I'm working on, different projects at the moment. So my to-do list is horrific. And I usually have a big notice board. Anybody who's been on a Zoom with me knows I have a big notice board behind me, and my to-do list is all about post-it notes. But because this has been recorded today, I thought I'd better move that out of the way because it might look a bit messy. But that usually that gets people talking, because they go, oh, it's on your board, when they're on a one-to-one or just on a normal Zoom, because I do a lot of Zoom training. And people will ask me what it's for, and I go, oh, this is it, this is what I do. But that to them, it's like the number of times I've been at events, or I've been networking, or I've bumped into someone and they go, oh, I was telling my friend about how you do your my post-it notes is my to-do list, and I can move them around and prioritize them as and when. So a lot of people have commented on that, and then use that or tell other people about it. And then I have messages from people going, can you tell me how you use post-it notes for being more organised? And I'm like, what? And that's just from me jumping on Zoom calls or taking pictures sometimes of a board with post-it notes on. So it doesn't have to be you putting yourself out there. I'm the worst one for photographs. Anybody who knows me knows I don't do photographs. I hate having my photograph taken. Zoom's different. I don't have to keep looking at it again. It doesn't keep popping up in my feed. So I'm quite happy with that. But just putting yourself, what you are comfortable with, out there, and set yourself a boundary. Do what you're comfortable with, don't do the other stuff. And then it shouldn't feel cringy. It shouldn't feel cringy at all. I have a healthcare business, so can't show proof due to confidentiality. Yeah, I get that. I totally get that. My husband is a CQC manager. So I completely get that. Confidentiality is really important, but you can talk about things that you've done. That's your proof. Definitely you can talk about things. How often should we be posting about ourselves? Okay, so we're looking at how we can mix that up together, but there's no reason why you can't talk about yourself on a regular basis. 2, 3, 4 posts a week, mine probably people know far too much about me and my life, but it keeps people coming towards me because we buy from people. So we can talk about ourselves, we can talk about our journey to work, we can talk about getting soaked while we're trying to unlock the shop, we can talk about, oh, thank goodness I've been waiting 3 hours for this cup of coffee because I've been so busy. That is talking about yourself. And if that's a daily occurrence, then that's okay. But I'm going to show you a nice little sort of recipe, if you like, for what to post and when to post, depending on the frequency that you would use. So I hope that will help. Yeah, and please don't worry about dogs, because I've had to have mine leave the building because he's very, very barky. So hopefully those will help. Can we have the next slide, please? Thank you. So we talk about selling them, but we don't want to be salesy. So I've just got a couple of bits that just show you how you can convert, things you can put on that don't seem too salesy. So new in stock or restock, but I think we've mentioned something like that in an earlier post, but the key is to make sure that you add context. So who is it for? Who will benefit from it? Before Christmas, we could have done a lot of this stuff, but we've got loads of stuff coming up. We've got Valentine's. Oh my God, the shops are full, aren't they? We've got Valentine's, we've got Mother's Day, we've got Easter. So there's 3 really big ones coming up over the next couple of months. So it's like, if you've got something that's come in stock that's perfect, it's like, oh, these are perfect for mum. We promise we won't tell her if you bought one. You can put all of that, sort of making sure that the context is there. Best seller spotlight, we can put that up, that's great, but we need to tell them why people love it. Why is it a bestseller? Make sure that we're adding some detail. Product demos are great. I love a project demo because then you can actually see how the damn thing works and how you put it together. You should have seen me and my husband trying to put together a Hoover together yesterday because we had to buy a new Hoover. It's like, why can somebody not give me a little demo straight away, and that would make it life so much easier. I'd seen the demonstration of how it works, but not the demonstration of how to put the damn thing together. So product demo is brilliant. Gift guides, bundle ideas, customer stories and photographs. And then making sure that we're using other angles like Cumbria, that we're local, we're located in Barrow, we're working with other businesses in Barrow, we're Ulverston based, we're Kendal based, wherever we are. Local events that are happening. We have so many events now happening in Barrow thanks to the bid, and Ulverston Festival Town, and Kendal. There's loads going on all around us in the lakes. There's so much going on. It's like, if you're visiting stuff XYZ, use that tag, come and see us. We need to make sure that we're utilising all of those things that are happening around us. And then partnerships, teaming up with other people. If they showcase your stuff for them, you can showcase them. But we're not actually being really salesy. So it's just making sure that we're trying to keep away from that sales thing, because if people think we're trying to sell to them, we lose them. Can we have the next slide, Lucy, please? Thank you. And then again, for the services that converts, a clear offer explainer. Who is it for and their outcomes? I do a lot of business coaching, and I never put on anything about the whole processes that we go through, because when people are looking at something, they don't really care what your process is. They want to know that you can do what you say you're going to do, and they want to know that it's for them, and then they want to know that you're solving their problem, so i.e. the outcome. So making sure that you've got a really clear offer that explains all of that is perfect. That's how it works. People are sometimes that feel intimidated if it's something new. So again, if we go back to coaching, they don't know how it works. They don't know how the process works. They don't know whether it's on Zoom. They don't know how much they've got to share, what you need from them. They need to know a little bit about what that process looks like. FAQs and objection posts. These are really key, especially so you don't want to put all of your costs out there. I do actually. Mine's all over my website, and I always talk about costs when I'm talking on socials, if it's relevant, because I believe in clarity, and I want people that come to me because they can see how much it works, not come to me be frightened to ask how much I charge. So you can put things out that counteract their objections. So it could be what I did a post a few months ago that was basically, how much money are you not making by not doing XYZ? So using things like that make people really think about it, because that then sort of triggers that thought process in their head, and they can hopefully come back to you. Those case studies, those befores, those during, those afters, boundary and value posts, what you can do and then what you don't do. I did some work with a lovely VA not so long back, and people expected her to do so much, and she's just put boundaries in place. It's kind of like making it really clear from the start. This is what I do, this is the times I'm available, and this is what I do not do, because that is really clear. You don't want people to presume. And then quick tips with calls to action. All of these things will help people come close to you, and will help improve your conversion, because straight away they know that this is how you work, this is the process that you use, this is the price that you charge. They're not thinking, oh, that looks great, but I probably can't afford it, and scrolling past. All of these things will help. And we'll talk a little bit more about calls to actions in a minute. So can we have the next slide, please, Lucy? So engagement without cringe, that's the next bit, isn't it? Because that's a really tough one. So we want to engage people, but we don't want to feel like we're feeling a bit cringy and asking. It's when you say, oh, comment below, people go, oh, don't bother do that. And then we've just got this lovely post and nobody bothers to comment on it. because they don't really know what you want from them. Comment about what? How do you want me to comment? Do you want me to go, oh, that's nice? Do you want me to go, that's amazing? They're not really sure. So trying to be really careful about how we engage that, how we ask those questions. So things like either or. So would you rather this or would you rather that? Which one are you? A or B? Give them a choice. True or false with a myth buster. Tell me your biggest challenge with. Vote with an emoji. I did a vote with emoji post this week for a local charity, and that's been brilliant because we've been able to gauge who knew whether they were a charity or not. The people that didn't, we got lots of comments underneath. Oh my God, I didn't realise you were a charity, blah, 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 blah. It meant that then that charity could then engage back with those people and go, oh yeah, we've been doing this for X so long, blah, blah, blah. We need people's support. They could get really involved in talking to their audience. As a result of that, they've got a lot more people signed up to their newsletters. So that's a great conversion for them. So just a simple post asking people to vote with an emoji or just respond with an emoji can make a massive difference. And we think it's quite trivial. We think it might be because we're professional, because we're a charity, or because we've got professional services. We can't do vote with an emoji. But actually, we think about the people that are using social media. If you want them to respond, you need them to respond in a way that feels comfortable for them. And that would feel comfortable for them. So engagement without cringe is really important, but we need to make sure that we're doing that because we don't want people to just scroll on past and us look like we've got posts that nobody's bothered to engage with. So let's look at some calls to action, just a little bit about the calls to action. Lucy, could you go to the next slide, please? Not all call to actions should be about sales. Obviously, it's really important. That's what we want, a call to action. We want people to buy stuff. But there are different levels. So I've used a ladder to try and demonstrate that. So we can ask people to save a post or save a video. I was watching somebody talking about AI the other day, and they'd said, save this post and come back to it later. And I thought, oh, that's perfect, isn't it? Because if you're showcasing something, you're giving some really important information, people forget where they've seen it. How many times have we been online and we've seen something and we've read something and then we've scrolled past that we thought is brilliant, and then we've scrolled past and we've done something else, and then we've thought about it afterwards and we can't remember who posted it. So just that prompt to get somebody to save something. I save loads of stuff, but getting somebody to save something so that they can come back to it. And that's really good if you've got, something really important information. It was about using AI for creating content. Sure, that was what it was. It was about creating content using AI. And actually, I would have forgotten half of it because I was just scrolling and listening to it, thought it was good, carried on scrolling. But if I hadn't have saved it, I would have forgotten and I wouldn't have known who it was. Asking them to share or to comment is really important. Those are really nice little call to actions. Be really careful on Facebook as not putting too much emphasis on the used to be the sort of like comment, like and share. Facebook really doesn't like it, and it will affect your algorithms. Asking somebody to share something is great. Asking them to comment something is okay. But when you try to ask people to do lots of things, I think I saw one the other day, do this, do this, do this, do this, and we'll enter into that. I was like, whoa, that is far too much. Your algorithms are going to be absolutely, that post might do really well because obviously people are doing that, so people are seeing it, but their algorithms afterwards, Facebook are just going to downgrade that straight away. So making sure that we're really careful about that. But it's a really good call to action as a first level. The next one up, DM a keyword, is a really good one. So one of my programs is called Unstuck, and I don't very often do it, but if I put in DM the word unstuck and I'll send you the details, that would be great because then I can do that. If anybody knows about my program that's called Unstuck and then they used that and were searching for it, then Facebook will actually picks up a lot of keywords and decides how it's going to, if people said, oh, I'm stuck on something, it can show them stuff that has got a reference to being stuck or getting unstuck. It likes keywords and it will pick it up and it will decide who sees posts. And there's lots of variations to obviously how the algorithms work, and they're changing it all the time, but the keywords are still really relevant. We don't have to use hashtags in Facebook for it to pick up the keywords, but we do need to make sure that we use them. But that DM and the keyword, if it's really relevant, then people are commenting underneath. It's showing Facebook that your stuff is relevant because people are commenting on it, so it's popular. So that's a big tick. But also that keyword is getting mentioned quite a lot, so that helps you get found for that. You can ask people to join your list, my mailing list, and to click a link. So all of that is really important. That's a really nice mid-level one. You're not selling to them. You're giving them information, you're asking them to join a list so they can get more information, and you're asking them to click a link so they can see for themselves. So you're not asking them to buy. And then the top one is like the one that we really want them to do, which is buy this, book that, come and visit me. So those are obviously the ones that we really want them to do, but sometimes we have to do it on a slower process. Not everybody is ready to buy. So if we come down a little bit and ask them to join our list so we can keep in touch with them, because we don't want all our communication on Facebook if we can help it, that's great. If we're asking them to share or comment, then that's good, because then they'll still see that in their feed if they're looking for us. So sometimes we have to come down a level to get them to do what we want to the next level. Does that make sense? So before we just jump straight in with the book or the buy or the come and visit us, which is ultimately what we want them to do, then we need to make sure that we're doing some of this other stuff first, so they're getting to know who we are. Tracy, how do we find keywords? So Tracy, your keywords are what is relevant to you. So if you were writing content for your website, or you were writing a blog, you would use particular keywords. So it could be, I'm not quite sure what you do, Tracy, sorry. So it could be, are you beauty? Do I recognise that name? Donna's nodding, yes, thank you. So it could be that you're talking about beauty products. It could be talking about the therapies and the services that you offer, laser hair removal, thank you. So it could be that could be your keywords, because if you're talking about laser hair removal and leg vein removal, thank you. If you were talking about those, or you were asking people to DM the keyword, I don't know, it could be hair removal, and I'm not sure everybody would want to say that, tell everybody they've got leg veins, but if you were doing that hair removal, or you were doing that and you're talking about it in your posts on a regular basis, which I'm sure you will be, and then that's all over your website, those are your keywords. So this is how Facebook finds you, how Google finds you, how people will find you in general. But you don't need to use the hashtags in your Facebook, just those keywords are enough. If you're using them on a regular basis and you're using them continuously throughout your post because it's what you do and it's what you talk about, then you'll be found for that. Okay, hope that makes sense, Tracy. Can we have the next slide, please? So we've talked about how people are we want to get found. We've talked about a lot of how we can sell without being cringy, and how we can try and convert people, and what the call to actions can be. What we need to think about as well is that first impressions count. Because if somebody clicks on our page, or somebody recommends us, sorry, talk a lot. If somebody has recommended us, or they've found us because they've looked at our keywords, or they've seen one of our friends has shared something because we've asked them to do so in one of our call to action posts, and they go, oh, I'm intrigued by that, they're going to come and have a look. When they come and have a look at our page, we need to make sure that our page health is great, if you like. So we need to have that biotech, because if your bio is bang on, if your page is right, let that do the heavy work so that you don't have to sell, so that people then automatically will come to you. So it should be really clear in your bio and any pinned post, if you're on Facebook, who you help and what you do and what you sell. It needs to be really, really clear. It also needs to be clear if you're location based and can only serve people who are local. So like Tracy is going to have local people. it needs to have the location in it. There is nothing worse than landing on a page and looking and thinking, oh, that looks great, but it's somewhere you need to go to, but you can't see where they are. Did it yesterday. Somebody asked me to do some research for them, and it was a hotel, and all I got was the name of the hotel. So I found them on Facebook. There they were, great, pictures are beautiful. I had no idea where they were based. Absolutely no idea where they're based. Now, because I'd asked to do it as part of my job, that was fine. That I was going to obviously dig deeper and do that. If I'm just somebody general looking for a hotel and somebody said, oh, have a look at that one, or I came across you for whatever reason, and there's no location on there, am I going to bother to try and find them? Because they could be I could do loads of legwork and they could be based in Norfolk, and I could be thinking that's too far to travel with my little dog. I don't want to go to Norfolk. I want to go further north, or I want to go across to Yorkshire. So I'm going to stop. So if we've got location-based services, people need to know straight away where we are. They also need to see straight away how they can book, how they can buy, and whether or not they can message you. And there's so many profiles when you look at them, and people's pages, when you look at them, that don't have this information on there. We need to make sure that the links are working and that the phone numbers are relevant. I clicked on 2 last week that took me to 404 pages, 404 error pages, because their websites weren't working properly. If their website's not working properly and the information that they've just given me on their Facebook page for me to click through to have a look at is wrong, am I going to go and pursue them and try and work with them? No. Because straight away I've gone, oh, that's a bit rubbish. So straight away I've gone, not really bothered. Proof, we need to see reviews. We need nice pinned posts that tell us if you haven't got lots of reviews, because reviews on Facebook can be rubbish, can't they? And obviously they're not on Instagram. We can see them really clearly on LinkedIn, but they're more difficult to get on LinkedIn. But we could put pinned posts up that showcase what we do. We can with testimonials on and comments and feedback from clients. So that proof is really relevant. And then that consistent branding right across all of the platforms. So if I've found them on Google, and then I click through and have a look at their website, and then I come back and I look at their Facebook page, and I go and have a nosy on Instagram, because I am really nosy, but that's my job. So if the branding isn't consistent, I'm kind of asking why. If the voice and the logo and the messaging isn't consistent and the imagery isn't consistent, I'm kind of asking why. Because it could be, you could look at it and think, oh, so somebody else is doing that bit for them, and somebody else is doing that bit for them, and maybe they're doing that bit themselves because they like that. But if it isn't looking consistent to the exterior, because that's fine. We don't all like doing stuff. We just want to, sometimes we want to delegate. We want to give a bit to our team, or we want to pay somebody else to do it. And that bit, that's fine. But if it doesn't look like it's your voice and it doesn't sound like the same messaging right across it, and that consistency isn't there, then we confuse our audience and we lose them. So if we're going to make sure that part of this strategy needs to make sure that we have this consistency right across everything that we do, from our Google business profile right the way down to our Facebook, and even down if you haven't made your personal Facebook private, then even down to your personal profile, because people will check you out and find out who you are, because we're all very nosy, and I'm sure you'll have done it yourself to other people. We need to make sure that everything is consistent, because people will buy people, and they need to know that your business does what it says it does. So that is a really, really important thing to note, because we can do all of this work, and then if they start doing some research, because people have got so many choices now, when they start researching, if what they find isn't right for them, then we lose them, and we've done all that work for nothing, and that's a shame. So if you look for yourself later and just check through all of your profiles and make sure that you are visible in all the right places with all the right things, and it's really consistent. Can we click through to the next slide, please, Lucy? Oh gosh, I need to hurry up. I talk too much, don't I? Sorry. So the next bit is attract, connect, and convert. So we've looked at how we can attract people by what we talked about them, getting them to connect with them, and then we need to convert them. So we need a really simple conversion path. So we have our posts, and then we have our next steps, and then we have our follow-up. So if we can click through to the next slide, please. Thank you. So next steps for retail. It's very similar to what we've already been doing, but this kind of just pulls it together now. So we've got that whole attract bit. So they've come to us and they've had a look. And then that next step is that whole comment link, and I'll send you the product link. It's that DM me to reserve. That's a really good one. Click to shop if you've got a link. And they can buy online. Pop in today, we're open until. So we need to give them a next step so we can show them this lovely product, but we need to give them that next step because people need to know what you want them to do. Otherwise they go, that looks lovely, and they scroll on to the next post. So we need to be really clear that we're giving them, and we're making sure that we're using those call to actions are in line with that ladder that we looked at. So we can start off nice and softly, and then every now and again we can go, well, excuse me, can you just buy this now because you've been hanging around for ages? So we start them off gently and then we feed you up. Can we go to the next slide, please? So services, again, that next step, we've got them, their attention. That next step is DM or call me. A lot of people have don't put the call button on their posts, but a lot of people will call. A lot of people like to just pick up the phone and ring you, and if they've got that call option, we did some social media Facebook ads for a client, and we did a A/B split testing, and one was to fill in a little form so that somebody could contact them, and the other one was to click to call now. And click to call now had far better response. So lots of people think that because we've got this world where technology is there and we can just send everybody a message and we can drop them an email and we can fill a form in and somebody will get back to us. There are, nobody likes to pick up the phone and call to people. That's not always true. People like to have that information to hand. They like to know straight away that they can ring and they talk to somebody and they get it booked or they get it ordered or they get the information that they needed. So DM or call, whichever, give people a choice. Book a link, booking link in the comments. Sometimes as we know, Facebook has a bit of a wobble about links in our comments, so making sure that we've done that. Grab their free guide, book a clarity call or an info call. Those are your next steps. Can we have the next slide, please? Oops. Thank you. But then we need the follow-up, and the follow-up is the really important bit. How many times do people comment on your posts and you just like them? You just click a like or a heart or something, you know, in the little emoji bit at the bottom. Comment on it. We need to be sociable. We don't, if you put something on it and people go, oh, that's really beautiful, I love that colour. So if you're retailing, you say put a dress on or a pair of curtains or some nice cushions, and somebody's commented, go, it's like, oh, where would you wear that? Or oh, where would that look nice in your house? Oh, thank you. Who do you know who would love one of these? Commenting and getting that engagement up is one of the best things you can do, because now they know you're human and that you're bothered and that you're engaging with them. So doing that whole information bit on your Facebook page is really, and even on your Instagram, your LinkedIn, wherever you are, is really important. If people are messaging you because you've asked them to DM you, don't just go in and try and sell them something. Ask them, are you looking for something specific? Is it for a special occasion? You know, are you going somewhere nice? If it's for services, for me, as a coach, you'd be going, what are you hoping to achieve? Or what have you already tried? Depending on obviously what my post was for and what they're commenting on, you can tailor it so it feels human, not just, shall I book you the link? The number of times I've had people go, I've commented on something and I've got a link and they've just gone, would you like to book a clarity call? And they've just sent me the link to book. They know nothing about me. That's why it's everybody's time. People want to feel that you're understanding who they are and understanding what they need before they're ready to take that next step. You wouldn't do that on a date, would you? You kind of want to make sure that you're kind of getting to know them and engaging them fully. So having that nice, not that follow-up that feels more human, then is obviously much better, because then people are going to book a clarity call because you're showing that you're interested. They're more likely to say, can you send me one? Can I come in and try it? What material is it made of? Depending on, and obviously what you're selling. What if you've got, I don't know if you make cakes and things, and people are, if you've got a lovely cake shop or you've got a nice restaurant, and people are going, oh, if they comment and they go, do you have they might be asking if you could ask them if they've got any allergies, because straight away you're showing that you are engaging with them and you're interested in what they need, and it's not just about what you want. It's a two-way conversation, and unfortunately most people use social media as a one-way, and we need to remember that social element. Can we go to the next slide, please, Lucy? So there's three main reasons that people don't buy, and that is they don't understand what you sell or what you do. They don't trust that it will work or be right for them, and they don't know the next steps. And all of those things we've looked at will fit into your 3 buckets. All of that content that you can create will answer all of those things and solve all of those problems. So if somebody's looking at your stuff thinking, oh, that looks great, but I really don't know whether that's right for me, if we've used that proof bucket and we've put posts out there, then we've answered them and given them proof, they're coming closer to us. They're not just scrolling away. And this is why we need to address why people don't buy. And it must be clear all of the time. All of the time, we need to make sure that that's really clear. Can we have the next slide, Lucy, please? So, okay. So we said, somebody asked earlier about how many times should I post about myself. When we've talked about your buckets, we need to create a weekly rhythm. This is what I would use with a client. This would be a standard one. If you only post 3 times a week, then you can adjust it accordingly. But this would be what I would use with a client. So I would put 2 value problem solving posts out a week from my problem bucket. I put 1 proof post from their proof bucket and 1 personality post. And then I'd make sure on top of those that there was a really clear call to action post. So it could be asking them to buy something, because we're putting enough content out there that is basically saying, these are the problems that I help. This is proof that it works. This is me and I'm lovely. Now come and buy from me. So we're having to get that mix right, however you decide to do it. And it could be that the idea is that you will fill your bucket and you'll create lots of lovely content based on the things that we've talked about and covered today. And then you can create this lovely rhythm, because once you've got this rhythm in place, you can swap it around. You could do your value posts on a Monday and a Wednesday. You could put your proof post in on a Friday. You could put your personality post in on the Tuesday and a call to action on a weekend. And then the following week you can go, okay, let's try shake it up again. Let's just try and do that. Joanne, yes, posts or reels or carousels or stories, all of them. There is a little bit about that in 1 second. So you're shuffling it around, but that rhythm is still there. So you're making sure that you are giving people what they need. I used to have a lovely mentor that used to say, give people what they want so you can sell them what they need. So they want to know that you can solve their problems. So those problem-solving posts are really important. They want to know that you can do and deliver, and your products do and deliver what you say. So that proof posts are really important. They want to know who you are because they're nosy and people buy from people. So that personality bit is. So then we've given them what they need. So now we can give them what they want, because now we're going to go, just buy the product, just buy it, come and see it. What's stopping you? What's stopping you? So giving them that clear call to action post as well, and then shuffling them up, testing it. You can look at your business suite will tell you the times where people are most active or your audience is most active. But it doesn't always mean that that's when you're going to get the best reaction. Sometimes they get it wrong. Or it could be that that's when they're really active, but not your ideal customers. They might have been on a couple of hours before because they don't understand all of your customer buying behaviour, etc. So it's quite a vague way of doing it, but it can work. So shuffling it around and thinking, right, okay, so I'm going to put my value post on at 10 o'clock and 6 o'clock tomorrow, and then next week I'm going to shuffle it around and try a different time. So trying different times and different days to see what works. And then when you know what works, repeat. Because why wouldn't you? If it's working, then repeat it. Because obviously that's what we need to do. We need to make sure that we get some sort of rhythm. But the rhythm is about your posts. So making sure that you do that sort of combination. If you can only do 3, then I would alternate between, if you're doing 3 a week, I would alternate between a value and a proof post, but definitely put in a personality post and definitely put in a call to action post. So then that way you're still doing the 3, but you're making sure that you're still covering them. So one week you'd use a value post, the week after you'd use a proof, and swap it around. But that's the mix that works perfectly. How many? Move to the next slide, Lucy. Sorry, I've got my words then. I've definitely talked too much. So we create once and then we repurpose. So I hope this answers your question a little bit, Joanna. So we repurpose. So when we create a post that goes into our value bucket and we create some content, we can go, right, okay, so I've got a problem solving post here that tells people how what I do solves their problem. That can then becomes your Facebook post or your general sort of feed post on Instagram or whatever you post to LinkedIn. It can then be tailored and tweaked and turned into a story. It can then become, there's no reason then why you can't then turn that into some short form video, B-roll for Instagram, a carousel post that you can use on either. It can also then become a group post that goes into a Facebook group, whether it be your own or another one, or a community post, which is reaching a much wider audience in some of the local community groups. The key is to make sure that you don't post exactly the same content into each one, because if you do that, it's lost. I see so many pages that create a post and think, okay, now I want everybody to know about it, so I'm going to share this into 15 local groups, and they just hit share, and then they click all the groups that they're in and they stick it in those groups, and then that's it. They think it's going to work, and it doesn't, because there's different people in that group. There's people that don't know who you are. There's people who are not your ideal customers that haven't liked you and followed you because they're interested in what you do. The people that don't actually give a toss. So we have to make sure that we tweak stuff so that it's relevant for the groups. We run a dog friendly group. There's just shy of 47,000 people in our group. And my husband is a stickler because he will decline so many posts because it's all about dog friendly activities, dog friendly places to go, dog friendly businesses. It's a great group. It's really active. But then somebody will just put on serving Sunday lunches today from 12. That doesn't tell us whether you can bring your dog. If you sent me a post and you tweaked it a little bit, or you'd shared the original with a comment at the top going, free sausages and carrots in a bowl for your dog, that gets approved, but it's not going to get me through because it doesn't meet my group criteria. So making sure that you tweak and you make sure that you create posts rather than stories. You can do both. You can have posts and stories. Stories are the ones that people look at when they first go to Facebook. If you're using Facebook and Instagram, they tend to go there first and scroll across, and then we go down and look at everything else. So you can do either or both is preferable, because getting that variety so that you hit, if you remember earlier on, we talked about how people consume content. This is how people consume their content. So it's making sure that you are, if they like to watch reels, if they like to check the stories out, which I always do when I first land, make sure you're there. But it's about repurposing, and that's the key word, repurposing, to make sure that it's not just bang on the same post, because you won't get the same interaction or the interaction that you want. If you tweak it slightly, if you make it more appealing for different things, especially if you're sharing it into groups, you make it relevant to that group, that same bit of content, it doesn't take long. But it's definitely worth the effort. Can we have the next slide, please, Lucy? So I'm just watching the clock. Should have asked you for a little flag to tell me how long I've got left. The next thing that I would suggest is that you batch, what we could do batching dirty, and this is what I get all my clients to do. So if you're thinking, right, okay, I've got half an hour, the shop's quiet, I've got half an hour between meetings, I've got half an hour before I pick in the car before I pick the kids up from school, I've got half an hour where I'm sitting doing nothing because I'm just waiting for somebody, or I'm at home having my breakfast or a cup of tea, and I've got half an hour, and I know I'm not going to get time today, and I'm going to need some content that I need, and I need to top up my buckets. So break it down into 3 sections. So 10 minutes, list 5 customer questions. So think about what have people asked me this week? Where did you get that fabric from? Can I use that fabric for this? Have you got buttons that match that? Is that cake got cherries in it or raisins in it? Has that got this? Do you do that? Whatever questions people ask you, we think that they might think it's trivial, you might think it's trivial, but lots of people will be thinking the same thing. So list 5 questions. You don't have to put that question and then the answer on Facebook, but it's a really good content idea for you to use. If somebody's thinking it and asking it, other people will be too. Then write 3 quick posts. So you can really quickly come up with 3 quick posts from those ideas and just jot them down. It doesn't have to be perfect at this point, just put them down, because if you don't, you walk away, you do something else. If you're anything like me, by the time you've spent 10 minutes away from your desk, you've forgotten exactly what the hell you were going to write. So make sure that you write it down and just do those really quick ones that can be drafted and repurposed or perfected or made nicer later. And then pick 3 photographs that you're going to use, whether it could be the outside of your shop, because not many people put the outside of their shops on. I want to know exactly where I'm going when I'm walking down. I want to know what I'm looking for, if it's a place I've not been before, what products you've got, a picture of you, something behind the scenes, whatever you're having for your lunch. It really doesn't matter as long as it's going to grab their attention and it's relevant to what you're putting on there. So if you start to batch them and you think, right, okay, I've got 30 minutes, I'm just going to do that, and I'm going to fill up my 3 buckets and put some more content in my buckets, then you are never going to be stuck for what to post, because there is always going to be something there. Can we skip to the next slide, please? So the tools that we would use for that. So I'm asking you to create this content and fill up these buckets. And it's like, what do I do to that? Most of you will be familiar with Canva. I think it's definitely any marketer's best friend, and every graphic designer hates it. But as a marketer or anybody in with small business who uses social media, definitely your best friend. Your business suite is the best place for Facebook and Instagram, because if you've just done your 3 posts, or you've picked your nice recipe for the 5 posts that you're going to put out next week, why can't you sit there for half an hour on Saturday or Sunday or Friday night before you finish work, or Wednesday lunchtime when you're having a bit of a break, and schedule them all into Facebook and Instagram, remembering to tweak them for relevance for each platform? You can also from there get all of your insights, which is absolutely invaluable, because then you know what's working and what's not. If it's not working, you tweak it, you change it, maybe change the language, change the imagery, change the time of day. If it is working, on repeat, do something very similar on repeat if it's working. So your Meta Business Suite is really important, a really key bit at all. Now, a lot of people will recommend it, and a lot of businesses use the Notes app, so you can capture your ideas anywhere, which is great. So you've always got your phone with you, so the Notes app is brilliant. I use mine all the time. And then Google Drive for content banks. I'm not a massive fan of Google Drives, but I know a lot of people use it. But my favourite to tie in the whole Notes app and the Google Drive bit and save my Canva images so that I've got everything in one place is Trello. And it's just a really great tool, because you can just open up a Trello board. It's free to use, doesn't cost you anything, and you can plan your strategy. So you can plan and say, okay, so this week I've got all of these posts. I've got my value post with my proof posts, and I've got my getting my words mixed up now, my problem solvings and my personality posts, and I've got my call to action, and I'm just going to stick them all in there so that they're there in Trello, and I can move them about, and I can say these are going out on this day, these are going out to that day. It's a bit like a planning tool, and you can actually download and copy and paste from there straight into whatever tools you're using. Whether you're putting them on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, or your Google profile. So the last one, because they're going to kick me off in a minute, tell me off and run over, I apologise, is your 90-day focus plan. So this is what I would love you to go home and do, is to say, okay, I've got 90 days, plan for 90 days. 90 days is always a key time for me. I always do 90 days for myself and with my clients, is to pick your home and your support platform, decide on your key messages and your calls to action, batch create your content for all 3 buckets, post your 3 to 5 posts consistently, because that consistency is really important. And then remember to be sociable and to engage. And I hope that's been helpful. And I'll shut up now. Thank you.
Suzanne, thank you so much. That's been really helpful. Thank you. Could tell from the fact that everyone stayed on till the end there, how helpful that's been. So I know we've got a number of questions that have been posted, but we're not going to have time for those now. If people do have questions, please do drop them in the chat before you leave, and we promise to pick those up in the next few days. But Suzanne, thank you so much. Really, really helpful. We'd love to run a follow-up session with you at some point later in the year. So yeah, thank you everyone for your attendance today. We will pick up all those questions and comments in the chat. And